podcast, the only podcast that said yes, we can. I'm Rye.
Or Bob the Builder. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm Jason.
Excellent. And we're joined once again by Izzy.
Izzy, last name redacted. How you going?
Oh, mate, never been better.
Yes,
Not once in my life.
Yes, we can.
I'm peaking.
What?
Did you say you're vegan?
Peaking.
I thought you said Mohican, and I was like,
We said
Mohican.
vegan. I don't. How did we both
Pecan.
hear different things?
I don't know.
Anyway,
No. I tried to be for a little while.
welcome back to the
But fried
podcast.
chicken's so tasty. We're still on the vegan thing.
Oh, right, okay. So I've never seen this side of you before, right?
Have you not?
No.
This seems pretty standard.
Before we get started, I'd just like to acknowledge the custodians of the land, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. It's very important to understand that we are conducting ourselves on stolen land. Sovereignty was never ceded, treaties were never signed. In the wake of the referendum that we had, it's not the result. Well, it's the result what a majority or a percentage of people wanted, but it's not a great result for First Nations people. Australia is still one of the only countries in the Commonwealth not to sign a treaty with their Indigenous population. I think it was just very lucky to come here every 2 weeks for radio talk and do this podcast and listen and tell our stories through poetry. When so many First Nations people's stories throughout history and even up until this day have been silenced. I also just want to acknowledge the Palawa people of Lutruwita, which is the First Nations people of Tasmania, where I unfortunately grew up. All right.
Let's sign a treaty and break from the Commonwealth.
Yes, let's do it. All right, so you're fucked up. How does it impact your creativity? Sorry, segue.
Do you find it easier to write when you're sad? How about that's a little introduction.
So yes,
And then we'll build on that. We'll build on that to be
Okay.
much more extensive.
sad people. Does sad brain make good creativity?
Yes.
Okay. Right.
No, this is a question for you. This is a question to you.
Me?
When you were sad,
Depends on what I'm writing.
does writing pour out of you?
No. Right.
My God.
Is it your turn? Does sad brain make good creativity?
it depends how sad. To be fair, if you're at like the depths of despair, like I need to go to hospital situation, no, of course not. I think any strong emotion can spark a creativity streak, essentially. Like if you're feeling like super positive about something, super happy about. You both drank at the same time. That's weird.
We are
No connection.
We're so in
Twinning.
sync.
No, but like if you're feeling like heartbreak or happiness or anxiety about a certain thing, that can spark creativity, I think. But if you're like that messed up, I don't want to swear, but
You can swear.
if you're that fucked up,
Yeah.
We don't
Like-
get. We're not monetized anyway. We don't have enough
if you're
people.
that fucked up and you're needing help, then probably not. It might come later. Get help first, everyone. But no, for me personally, I probably do need to feel a strong emotion to write something.
For sure.
In the last 2 months, I tasked myself to write something every single day. Whether it's like a line, a quote, a poem, or something. And I did. And I'm proud that I did it. But on the days where I was feeling more emotional, sad, depressed, angry, worried, I think I spat out more poignant stuff, essentially. Yeah.
Because I think this topic is coming from, even to this day, we are still, as a society, deeply in love with the idea of the tortured artist, right? I think that's, especially like the prominence of things like SoundCloud rap, especially like love the idea of the live fast, die young, very sad all the time poet / SoundCloud rapper. Or everyone's favorites like, who's that guy that stabbed himself in the heart with a screwdriver? You know what I'm talking about? He's a very famous. Thomas, do you know one of the
Screwface?
very very famous singer-songwriter Oh my god, he only released one project.
Someone Google it.
That's
Doesn't matter. There's a very famous. And somebody in the comments is going to be screaming at me for not remembering.
Oh, yeah.
It's because I never enjoyed
remember
the music.
everyone use all caps when you please.
But it's also similar to like I remember watching one of Hannah Gadsby's.
Yeah.
I think it was Nanette.
Nanette.
Yeah, because she studied like art history or whatever. And everyone was like, oh, tortured artist creating beautiful works and blah, blah. But no one ever thinks to care about the tortured person behind the work. But like, and she made a good point. She's like, oh, like someone said to her, you have to be disturbed to create good work.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And everybody wants the good work, but no one's thinking of the person behind that, the person that's suffering, the person that cut their own ear off, the person that killed themselves.
That's a better example.
Censored, the person that does whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The person that drank themselves to death or like, you know.
Or continues just to
OD.
suffer while,
And
they're
that too.
They're bringing out, they keep bringing out good stuff or what people enjoy or want, and there is a reasoning behind that. But everyone's, as long as you're...
I feel like that
Keep
would
giving
be like prevalent within a lot of like people that are currently on the radio or like very well-known singers, and we don't find out till it's too late, i.e. Linkin Park, Chester.
Oh, yeah.
You could tell in the lyrics, but we didn't tell till it was too late.
That's very true. Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be hard. Like it's like you're kind of balancing that. This is what people want. This is what's earning me money. This is what's whatever. And then it's like, well, if I change it up, people might not like it. But then it's like, oh, moving in a new direction might mean that it's a good move for your mental health, but it might fuck up the bottom line or something. I don't, you know.
Danny Brown spoke a lot on that after Danny Brown came to prominence as kind of like party drug user, alcoholic the whole time. Party rap. And then as he shifted to try and get sober and shifted also to turning 40 as well helps, you know, like was getting kind of through that age, and then
40's a new 30.
And then recognizing that the fans were fiending for that content, though they still want that character to be portrayed, and even like later projects had still that element of talking about those things, but in a new light of
like a retrospective way, or
retrospective way, a much more critical lens reflected back on himself. I'm just regurgitating things I've heard from interviews with him, but like as a good example, one of the most things he kept coming back to is the fans were still chomping at the bit. Is that
Chomping
right?
at the
Chomping at the bit. Chomping at the bit to get that kind of content and to get the kind of more mellow retrospective and introspective content. They're like, well, this is pretty fucking boring, mate. This is pretty fucking boring.
I thought also just then when you mentioned that about like Kesha, for example, right? So Kesha, like Lady Gaga, came onto the scene very poppy, very, you know, follow me until I turn weird, particularly Lady Gaga. But like with Kesha and all the issues she had with her management and, abuse and stuff like that. And then so she resurfaced and people weren't as receptive to that because she was open about, you know, what she went through. And her most recent song, you know, was also sort of like on the same topic as, you know, what I've gone through. And people weren't as receptive to that, which I find odd because when you look at, you know, Nirvana, Silverchair, Grinspoon, like, you know, any sort of rock bands, when they write about like heartbreak and shit that went down, we all lap it up.
Of course.
But when someone calls out someone else and says, hey, I went through something, it's like Lady Gaga's song. She did a song, You Don't Know How It Feels. I can't remember the name of it, but essentially you don't know how it feels. So it's just like something happened to her, and like the film clip was about college students going through some stuff. That song and that film clip received less attention than everything else. Yet, if a prolific band or singer writes a song based on something depressing, it can like chart.
Yeah.
So I don't get the difference between it. I really don't.
I think maybe different mediums and genres, like also I think these examples that we've just given though are change, and I think that's maybe also a separate topic rather than just the tortured artist, because I think as much as people they'll like a tortured artist character, but and they don't want that to change. But I think the thing they really fear is the change. Like in the case of. I don't know, yeah, those genres, like, yeah, if we're talking about like kind of alt rock or alt punk or what have you, or darker hip hop, then introspective dark lyrics are very appropriate. You tune into your pop radio, you kind of don't want to be hit with that shit. Or if you're like, if you're feeling nice and happy, mate, you put on some disco or some house music or what have you. And in those kind of scenarios, maybe you don't want to hear about like, hey, I just went through a very traumatic experience and here's all my feelings. And like, I'm trying to. I got glow sticks on, and I'm trying to get down.
With Kesha was
she
was known for party songs, and then shit happened all with all the management and stuff, and then her first release was talking about it all, and everyone's like, oh, bring out a new release, and then they wanted. It goes the opposite. They wanted something upbeat and poppy, and she was like, no, I want to. So I heard the song. I was like, this is not the Kesha that was Kesha.
Yeah,
and I'm like, it doesn't. I wasn't used to hearing that from her. I wasn't a huge fan of the way the song sounded. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of her. Music's not for her. Music wasn't for me anyway.
Yeah.
But so the lyrics were poignant and on point, but I didn't like the song itself. And I think people are like, well, and it's the same as when some people say don't bring politics into sport. Some people are like, don't bring your shit into your music. And I'm like, but then, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure I'm not, and then but then it's like, but if she reverts back to what she was, that can trigger what was happening, why she was doing that music, and it's not a time that probably she doesn't really want to keep remembering and bringing up and all that kind of stuff. So I think maybe it's like, well, and then that kind of goes like. When it goes to the fans, I'm like, if they're like a true fan, whatever, they're like, okay, maybe not the best, but if we get what you're doing here, cool. We can. This side of you needs to be explored, and then how about maybe eventually you can get back to what we enjoy? Maybe I don't know, but right now we're with you to get. You need to do this album of sad or this cathartic stuff, and then see what happened then. But it was
true fan.
I don't know.
True fan of what? Of what?
I don't. As soon as I said true fan, I'm like, I don't know.
No,
if
I think it's an interesting. I think that's an interesting little phrase, because people who stick with an artist from day one until the very potentially bitter end, going through different phases, different styles, different what have you.
But what are you a true fan
exactly.
of?
Yeah.
The person or the style?
Yeah.
Essentially. Sorry, Rhath, like what you were saying about you brought me back to rap. So I was thinking about like Immortal Technique.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Someone who's more underground. Like at least 3 of his songs were quite poignant. I dare say based on lived experience and trauma.
Yep.
That wouldn't have come from nowhere.
Yeah.
So it brings us back to the topic of, do you need to go through stuff? Do you need to be traumatized? Do you need to have mental health issues? And it's also, I can't remember the name of the rapper, but there's a rapper in the US who raps about his ADHD. Can't remember his name.
Luca?
Yes.
Join us.
Yes.
Joyner Lucas.
Lucas. Yeah.
Joyner Lucas,
Anyway.
Well, he has an album called ADHD.
Right.
Fantastic, right? Loved it. Loved all of it. I don't have ADHD myself. I know people that do have. But could he have...
Is he here in the room with us right now?
But could he have written that without it?
Well,
probably not.
Yeah, write what you know, I think, is maybe a more an apt. So yeah, if you live in a fucking brilliant, happy-go-lucky life, and then you try,
you kind of get called out quite quickly if you.
Yeah. I'm very sad all the time. I was like, yeah, no, I don't buy it,
Are
mate.
you that?
I don't buy it.
Not quite set, not on there, but there was a basketball player or something, and his son, I can't remember his son's name, but his son's talking about, coming from the streets. He's like, you lived in a gated community.
Totally.
Like, stop, like, you trying to be a gangster. I was your father, and I had millions of dollars. We had a mansion in a gated community.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. That kind of, like, I think you can kind of tell if people are like, woe was me, but everyone's like,
Well,
in a way, I think.
do you think...
You can't keep it up forever.
I think I probably even do this. Like, do we, each individual people here, do we value darker, more personal art more than we value happy-go-lucky scamp art?
Depends. I think depends on how it's comes across.
Yeah.
Like if you want to go like poetry, some people will come here and do some fun, happy ones, and it's jovial and funny and really on point, and it's presented perfectly. And you're like, okay, but most poetry is more of I want to get shit off my chest.
Yeah.
And
Which we've talked about before,
Yes.
about the potentially dangerous phrase, but we use it, is trauma porn.
yeah.
That gets everyone's attention. Cause
I have never heard that,
Yeah.
but I
Oh,
like it. Oh,
trauma.
I like it.
So I've talked about, like, when it comes to competitions and stuff, is that the what wins is trauma porn, and it's like you have to. I've seen some people dive into stuff, and then as soon as they walk off stage, it's a wink, and they're like, "Oh, I did this," and I'm like, whereas if I get something I'm angry about, I black out on stage, and I walk out and like fuck, like. I think you were there, right? When I did one, I went out the back for 5 minutes because I'm like,
Yeah.
I wasn't aware what my brain was going to do, and I did it, and I'm like, I need to fucking go out there. But yeah, I think there's been a few people. I'm not saying everyone, and I'm a bit less cynical now in the competition. Fuck off.
we voted for the international winners today.
I am the bastion of positivity.
Yeah,
and,
sure, mate.
They call me positive Pete. And no, anyway. So there's been a few people that over time seen the competitions that they've had stuff. Like they've gone through some things, but then it's like there's this emotion on stage, and as soon as they get off, it's a wink and a Sorry, we're on the Starship Enterprise.
I don't think they'll hear too much of that.
Okay.
It'll be fine. Talk through it.
People have gone off, winked and smiled and stuff, and I'm like, if I hadn't seen that, I wouldn't. Like, okay, that emotion is real. In a way.
Well, that's an interesting idea. Like, even like you go through a bunch of trauma, and then you write a piece, and then you perform it on stage, which I'm sure we've all experienced to a degree of you've written a piece at the height of an emotion, and you perform it maybe years later. Like, how do you tap back into that emotion?
I'm thinking now, or when I was thinking before, I was like, the only thing I think of is it is a. I know it's something I'm talking about this now. This might encourage other people to write about stuff that they've only recently gone through, which I think is great. Because we've had a few people come here like, last time I come here, it was the first time ever, blah, 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 poetry and stuff. And then, but it's like some people just on stage, I feel like it's too performative when it comes to the emotion, not negating what they're talking about. Sometimes the performative side seems to outweigh because they're trying to win something.
Sure.
Whereas it's a slippery slope because I know there's a very heavy topics a lot of people talk about. So I coined it a couple of years ago when I was more cynical about the stuff, trauma porn.
It's apt.
Yeah.
So I think for me, like I'm 31. I've had about 30 years worth of trauma. And it's not like I have like a traumatic event and then I write about it straight after.
Yeah.
I could. I haven't yet. It might happen. Touch wood, it doesn't. But I might write about it years later after I've had therapy about it, after I've had time to reflect upon it. And when I present it, it's, as per my last session here, like I said, the writing process for me isn't easy. It's almost like vindication. Like, this happened, and I wrote about it, and I did it, and I got a response. Even if one person responded to it, I fucking did it. And it doesn't mean it's behind me now. but it's almost part of the healing process for me, I guess.
Does it make it real?
No, it was already real.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's a real thing, but like, in terms of like showing off, so putting in the eyes of others, it's like this.
No, like it doesn't make it more like poignant
Yep.
that it, the thing happened or whatever not. It was always there. It was already there. But if I can speak about it, it's almost like taking a little bit of control back, because generally re-trauma, and not getting into it, when you go through trauma, you lose a little bit of control. But if you can take control back, and I've done that a bunch of times on this stage here, and I leave not feeling a little bit vindicated, not leaving like, I'm fine now, I'm great, I'm going to go do all these amazing things.
Yeah.
But it's like I did this thing and it resonated with a few people. Whether it does or doesn't matter. But I spoke about it and now I can go and there's a little bit of peace. I'm not saying it solves everything. It doesn't.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of peace that comes from being able to express it. And there's a lot of shit I write that I don't perform and I don't intend to perform.
Okay.
But I wrote it. And my counsellor that I've been seeing for like 5 years, like often tells me to write about things that I talk about. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I don't really listen to her. Love her, don't always listen to her. Why are you laughing at that?
Funny.
I think it's good to promote, go to counselling, but also question your counsellors.
Well, yeah, I mean, get help if you need it.
Yeah.
And even if you think you're great, like counselling isn't just for the people that are really mentally unwell. It's not. So sometimes my counsel will say to me, write about that. And sometimes I will and sometimes I won't. And if I do, sometimes I may share it and sometimes I might not. But that's up to me though. That's me taking control of the narrative essentially. When a lot of people, and this is where this subject boils down to, is that a lot of poetry comes down to, and I'm not going to use the word trauma because a lot of people don't like that word, but something's happened to someone, bad, good, sad, whatever, and they write about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it helps and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes you want to share it and sometimes it's just for you to be like, yeah, I wrote this and now I'm going to just push it, over there. I did it. It's like writing a letter and then burning it, or writing a letter and not sending it, essentially.
We had someone burn a poem.
We did have someone burn a poem.
Where the hell was I during that?
It's on a reel, so if I can check it out.
Yeah, one of our reels.
I need to go back in the Instagram.
They got permission beforehand to make sure it was okay. Had their own little pot as well to put the ashes in. It was great.
I'd be interested.
That's very symbolic.
Yeah, because I think it was for them. It was like this is the whatever the topic of their topic, and they're like, this happened. I'm only ever gonna. I wrote about it once. I'm gonna talk about it once, and then I'm burning it, and it's gone, and then it's in front of everyone. I'm like,
I mean, given the right permission, like that is very symbolic, and that like I would have, if I were here, like I would have loved to seen that. Like that's a big moment for someone in their life.
it was.
I'd have a cheering crowd as well.
Yeah,
Watching the
that
flames
happened,
go up. That's sick.
I prematurely went up and the smoke was just still there, and I was just another. Yeah, anyway. But it's not about me, obviously.
Well, we can make it about you.
It's all about Jason.
Yeah, it was.
It's fine.
How dare they allow that smoke to keep going?
Yeah.
After the 5 minutes is 5 minutes.
No, Izzy doesn't stick to 5 minutes. Anyway, right.
Please.
You're not alone in that camp. There's a few. What would? Because I think there's different purposes to you to. This is a pretty broad statement, but or obvious statement. There's different purposes to art, right? And with that idea of like processing through something. For myself, I've thought for a long time that my poetry, my music, lyrically speaking, I think of myself more as an observer. Just I'm watching the world as it goes by, and I take that in and I re-put that out in some format, right? But to process more emotional content, I actually find the podcasts or just sitting across the table having a beer with someone that's where I process that kind of stuff. And there is plenty of emotion in my music, especially around certain topics like alcoholism and relationships with my father and what have you. But like that stuff is kind of scattered throughout this more observational kind of these observational takes.
So is that not the same thing? Right. So if you're doing a podcast or having a chat with a mate over a beer, is it not the same thing as writing a poem and performing it?
Yes, absolutely. I guess I'm saying like we find different mediums work for different parts of our souls. And so for some people,
very
like
spiritual.
Well, look, I'll put souls in quotations just to make sure.
I feel everybody has an outlet, whether they've found it or not. I don't know. There is always an outlet for someone, whether it's through painting or writing or going to a break room or angry asterisk X or there's shoplifting. I don't know. There is always an outlet for someone, and you can choose a healthier outlet, i.e. not illegal, or it can just be sitting down with your mate and having a beer and just going bleh. Like there's always an outlet.
Do you think that actually what our fucking issue is here is that people are people are seeing other art forms that they are utilizing? Okay, so like not only do we have our own art that is our outlet, but also listening to music has different purposes to each of us, right? I feel like listening to certain music for me is a happy time. Like as I mentioned, like disco and house music is like me kind of having a good going to a party, right? And then listening to lyrical dense hip hop is more that observational side of myself. Listening to folk music is where I get all my tears out, of which there aren't many. Which toxic masculinity, whatever. It's in there. It's in there.
Do you cry, bro?
Sometimes.
Ew.
Sometimes.
Do you even cry, bro?
I'm too dehydrated most of the time to do it.
Yeah. Always hungover, no tears left.
Yeah. So I reckon like probably people who are saying like keep politics out of music, which is, as an example, but there's also people who are like I can't listen to this shit. It's too fucking sad. I need my pop music. Are probably going. They're actually putting on music because they're like, I just want to fucking bliss out for a little bit. I need to tap the fuck out. And then some people listen to political music because like I want to get fucking riled up.
Yes.
I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated at the fans.
May I interject for a second?
Please.
Like it's like I was. I've got Spotify Premium.
Humble brag.
Oh, bougie.
So fancy. I'm on a pension. Anyway, so every Friday I listen to Release Radar and New Music AUNZ.
Yep.
Every Friday.
Yep.
And just after the failed referendum, came out a song by AB Original and I think Briggs, and I think I only got it just after I voted. And it was about voting yes.
Is this the yes and no song?
Yeah. And so, like, when I consume that sort of media, like Release Radar, New Music AUNZ, like, I like to see what's out there. I like to see what Spotify thinks I want to listen to.
Yeah.
Because it usually gets it fucking wrong.
When it's wrong, but in a fun way, I dig it.
Yeah, but sometimes I'm just like, you got it really wrong, son. Like, it can hit a nerve. But for me growing up, like, my family wasn't perfect, but my mother always told me, if you're sad, listen to music that makes you more sad to help you cry. Because crying was sort of like promoted in my household, which it should be, by the way, guys.
No, she's lying. Don't do that. Don't cry.
I'm not a she. Shush.
Sorry.
No, but like seriously. So there are certain songs, like I think I have like a cry playlist, and I also have like a amped up playlist. I had like a 21st birthday playlist that was a really long time ago now. But like you can listen to, I think not just songs, like media. You consume certain media depending on your mood. So if I'm feeling sad, I'll listen to sad music. If I'm feeling sad, I'm not going to turn on the news because it's probably going to actually bring me way low down, right? If I'm feeling inspired, I might go to the NGV and look at some beautiful things. Like, I think there is media for every mood you're in. Some can be dangerous if you're consuming too many in whatever particular mood you're in, essentially.
Yeah, I need to get off Twitter. Sorry, X.
You still on there?
Yeah.
Who the hell is on Twitter anymore?
Me. That's where I get all my news.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's better places.
There's some interesting stuff on there. I don't know. I don't know what my mood is, so I never know. Little autistic boy.
So, like, do you wake up and not know what mood you're in?
Yeah. I always forget the people.
So
mainly angry because there's noise outside my window. But that's,
so, do you think whatever you consume, whether it's like photos or music or whatever, do you think that will dictate your mood for the rest of the day? No, not necessarily.
Not affected by it.
No.
Does it heighten it? So if you're already in a certain mood, just entirely unfazed?
No.
It's just unpredictable.
By
It's
your
like
own-
an
by
eight
your
ball.
own- yeah.
I will listen. I will listen to music, and then it will tell me what my mood is. I guess because I'll be like, no, I don't feel like this. No, I don't feel like this. Like I'll go through.
Okay, sure,
I'll go through Aesop Rock, and then I'm like, oh no, and then my go-tos, and then I'm like some random 1975, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what my brain. Oh, okay, that's what it's feeling today. Cool, thank you. I'm in the supermarket. I don't need this right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to buy lettuce, and
It's too expensive.
yeah. I get the 4-bag mix when it's like, and then I use a third of it and then chuck it out because
Guess that slimy brown shit at the
yeah,
bottom.
because I had about I ate
out.
spinach one day past the Tuesday date, and I was sick for like 4 days, and I was
You got taken out with spinach, bro?
yeah, I was anyway, so I'll listen to it, and I'm like, no, that doesn't feel right. Sometimes I'll just listen to a podcast, it's easier. But if I want to listen to music, because I'm like, I want to listen to music, then I want to listen to it. I'm like, no, that's shit. And then it's some weird 90s dance music. I'm like, I don't know what this means for my mood, but it's what I'm listening to. And I'll just listen to the same song on repeat for an hour when I go for a walk. And then, so when I got my Spotify wrap up last year, it was artist, one specific song, artist, because I can't remember what it is now. So I'll listen, and then eventually I'll listen to a song. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what my brain's decided to do today. Not always, but yeah, that's me.
Like it.
So
Yes, we can.
My question for you quickly
Oh,
is, okay, so if media can dictate your mood for the day, does that impact on your writing ability?
No, because I'll go I just can't concentrate. Shocker, ADHD as well. I'll sit there and I wouldn't recommend it.
Don't buy it.
Don't. I'll sit there. I've been trying to write a poem for like 3 weeks, and I'm just like, no, this, and then I'll eventually just write something. Just have a flurry, yeah, of. I was going to say slurry, that's not the word.
So you don't know where your creativity comes from?
My brain?
No,
I
came from your liver.
I think it does come from experiences in life, but like, I mean, I do poems about growing up in school and how shit that was and stuff, but then I'm like, over time, like, okay, well, I can't really write much more about it. So I'm like, that's done now.
So it's not like you woke up sad and you're like, here's a poem.
No.
Okay.
I will spend I'll spend like 3 weeks doing one poem, and then I look at it and I'm like, oh, I'm past that. I don't need that. And I'll literally just spin it, and I'm like, shit, don't like it. I've passed whatever my brain was going through. Either I don't remember or I'm over it. I've gone, my brain's processed it and I don't need it anymore. And then when it's finally like, no, this is, and then I'll just, it's kind of annoying because I want to write more stuff because then I'm like, I'll write stuff, then I'll just delete it all, and then I will save something else over it. So there's no way to. I'm like, no, I don't need this. And then I go, maybe I should have had it, but it's too late. I can't. I mean, there probably is a way to recover it, but I don't want to know. So I'll literally just write something else over it. And I'm like, well, I've saved that now. So then the document is saved as just like, fuck you. And I'm like, cool. I just lost a poem or two, that kind of thing.
That's your version of burning it on stage.
Pretty much, yeah. It's not cathartic. It's just like, well, you just wasted 3 weeks of doing this. I mean, are you surprised?
Wasted is the wrong word. I was thinking about this before. I was thinking about this at the very, very start of all this because this all hinges on the idea that art is supposed to be really meaningful and impactful to a broad audience in order to have a certain value. But like, you even mentioned writing stuff that you're never going to perform. And my other silly example is people who walk along the beach and find, oh, nice shell, oh, nice shell, oh, nice shell. I'm going to glue them to you might glue them to a hat or something like that, right? And you sell it down at the local tackle shop, right?
I was going
to say tuck shop
at school.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you got your pizza, sausage rolls, and shell hats. Yeah. I don't.
Big M and a
Is that what they did in Castle Maine?
I know. Yeah, I don't know what schools you guys went to, but mine was fucking Shell Central.
Yeah, because there's a lot of beaches around there.
Yeah.
I thought so.
I don't think you need to be a tortured soul to create something amazing, whether it's poetry, songs, rap, art, like visual art, whatever. I don't think you need to go through hardship to be creative.
No.
I personally think that my shit has fueled my creative endeavors. But I don't think it's necessary, essentially.
Yeah.
If you feel strongly about something, and it goes back to like the podcast we did on like AI.
Mm-hmm.
If you actually feel strongly about something, you can make something out of that. And if you're proud of it and you want to show that, and even if you don't, but the next time you want to show something, if you feel strongly about it, then it's valid. You don't need to have hardship to like have ownership over it, essentially, I think.
So then why do we fetishize and idolize the tortured artist?
Well, why do we like Kim Kardashian? Not me personally.
Not me either.
Well,
So
no
directed
one.
to me then.
You're a big Kardashian fan, aren't you?
I'm up to date.
Fandashian? No, I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I'd never heard that
Terrible.
before.
I know, I just made it up then. See, I was just thinking before, I was like, I've gone all this time without saying a really shitty joke, and then I just ruined it.
There you go.
Anyway.
No, but we do. Like, again, going back to Hannah Gadsby, like saying someone came up to her and said, her, saying, you know, tortured artists, you know, like because you have a mental health issue, ASD, ADHD, whatever. Therefore, like, this is why you make art or comedy or whatever. I think, we do fetishize, like, people that are struggling, and we expect people that are struggling to come out on top and make something out of it. But I don't think you always have to. Maybe you could just not survive, you know, live with it and not be a creative. And if you are a creative, be a creative and not have to always be like, no, it's because I came from
So is it a lot of people just being selfish, of being like, I need the sign that no matter where I'm at, I can still succeed. I can still get to the top somehow.
I don't think it's from the creative. I think it's from the audience.
That's what I mean. Like the audience are looking at the downtrodden artists and going, well, if they can do it, I can do it.
Minority groups, whether it's like LGBTQIA plus, I should know this, I'm queer, whether it's Indigenous or BIPOC or disabled or whatever, people are always looking for a reason of why you hurt so much. I don't think you have to be a minority group to hurt so much.
No.
No, but that's what I feel like that's what people are looking for. And of course, people in minority groups probably hurt more. Not probably. If they decide to perform, definitely do hurt
Or more
more.
universal, like as a
But
collective.
like,
Yeah.
I feel like the audience is looking for like, why have you written this? Like, where's the pain coming from? Everybody has pain to a degree,
Yeah.
whether they choose to make something creative of it or dive into office admin work. I don't fucking know.
NFTs.
Not me.
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
No, it is.
Yeah. I think people are sniffing out, for whatever reason, as with the AI, I think they are sniffing out like true authenticity. I guess when it comes to more, darker emotions,
I feel like
and
it could
trauma,
also
it's a lot easier
like
to smell out.
legitimize people's feelings and emotions. Going, well,
100%.
I'm feeling like shit. This music, because that's it.
Totally.
If it's the lyrics a bit more ambiguous, you can put what you want onto those lyrics, and it could be, and then you go, this is. It doesn't matter if I think I've talked about it ages ago, but there was a in northern Sweden, there's the Sami people, and they have. I'm sure it's not just the but they have a thing called a yolk, or it starts with a J. I can't. But it's just it's not. They're not words. They're not lyrics. It's a sound and a melody that you sing, and it's like I did. It was probably by John someone. He did it on Sweden's Got Talent years ago.
Yeah.
John Hendrick, I think. And it was just like, this is for my friend who passed away, who died of suicide. And it was just this. I mean, obviously it was inflated because they were like, let's make it sound like, obviously showing close-ups of people crying and stuff. But it was just, that whole thing, it's like, there's no lyrics. But then it's like, well, if you've never experienced that, you can still put whatever that is onto things that you're going through. And I think, that's people like kind of want that legitimate. They get lyrics and they get bands to legitimize it, and then sometimes
Permission
that's
to feel.
not always the healthy thing to do for some people.
Yeah.
But also it is to help, because that's what you have a ton of artists say. I've had so many people reach out to me and say how my music or my acting or my art has helped them through, or even YouTubers now gone to have an amount of young people said have helped them through shit.
It's like with anything, like performing, whether you're singing, showing your art, doing poetry, rap, whatever, can be healing for you as a performer. And again, it can be ambiguous, right? So anyone in the audience looking at art or listening to whatever you're performing could be like, wow, that hits me in a certain way. And that's happened when I've gone to like gigs and shit before. It can be healing both ways for the performer and the consumer. I was going to say patient, nursing brain.
In a sense.
Yeah, essentially, like, it can be healing both ways. But also, I really hope people don't, and I'm sure they do, but abuse the privilege of, and it goes, again, back to the AI thing of just, like, auto-generating shit to appease an audience who might feel something from something that's not real.
Yeah.
That's a good note to end on, I think.
Beautiful. If you have made your own conclusions, please comment below.
In caps or not in caps?
I prefer all in caps.
All in caps,
Yeah.
We want to scream it.
That's aggressive.
We want to,
I prefer to fight about emotions.
yeah. Because anger is my go-to.
This has been the Vibe Union podcast.
Music by Sixpence.
Music by Sixpence. All the other things that we do are down below on the vibeunion.com.au. Hey, I've got an album launch. Hey, fuck off. I've got an album launch on November 23rd. Fucking come to that.
Where is it?
It's at the Retreat Hotel in Brunswick, Sydney Road. Don't go to the other retreat. There's two. Don't go to that one. Come to the Sydney Road one.
It'll be day after poetry.
Fucking catch you there, boys.